Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderploeg, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, we are returning back to our regularly scheduled format where we talk about all the news in and around the sporting Kansas City soccer sphere. And thankfully, nothing really new has happened since the last time we recorded, so it'll just be sort of rehashing all of the news topics that we missed last week. I hope you guys enjoyed the draft. It was something that was very fun for us to do as a group. The feedback has been mostly positive, so I'm glad that what we've heard so far that you guys did enjoy it. There is a poll still running on the Home and Away Discord to see who won the draft. Cody is running away with it at this point, so I'm not going to try to lobby people to vote for me, but if you don't believe that Cody should have won the draft, you better get to the Discord and make sure you participate in the voting. How do you feel, Cody, about your eminent victory?
I feel pretty fortunate because honestly, I was pretty intimidated to be on a draft with that group of gentlemen, and I just got to say thank you to Chad and Mike and Mr. Abnos for giving us their time, and I mean. The funny thing is the podcast ended at 3 hours, right? But everybody stayed on talking afterwards, and we probably could have shot the shit for another 3 hours, right? It was those guys have such a wealth of knowledge, and they're so generous and kind with their sharing of their knowledge. It was really a pleasure to talk to them, and so honestly, I'm just thrilled to have participated, and winning the poll is just gravy.
Well, I mean, it obviously speaks to your superior drafting philosophy.
I think mostly it speaks to the fact that I think you and I had discussed that we're younger fans, in terms of the overall age of the team. Of we weren't around for the Wizards games, and so that might have I think maybe our listeners kind of skewed to that as well, and so maybe that gave me a little bit of a bump.
There is definitely a factor there where there are a number of a fairly significant percentage of our listenership is post-rebrand folks. And so the players they are familiar with are certainly the ones that you selected. But I selected mostly those as well. Right. And anyway, I think that it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate the guys doing it. We had a request from a listener right at the beginning of the offseason when we were trying to think about different formats and topics we wanted to cover in the offseason, given how long it was going to be. And they had asked to kind of do an oral history of the club, and I knew that you and I were not really equipped to be the right people to offer that. And there are other ways to get that type of information. I mean, obviously Chad was a big part of putting together the anniversary book that season ticket members got. That is really good. That kind of goes through a lot of that history as well.
I used that book extensively in my research.
In your research, yeah. It's got a lot of great information in it. But additionally, I thought that this was a really good way for us to perhaps shed a light on some of that history in a fun format and tell some stories, and it seemed to work out pretty well. So I'm glad everyone enjoyed it.
It was great.
But what it means is we are back to the news this week. So we do have a number of topics that we did not cover last week. The fact that there is going to be a new majority owner of the club, the fact that we did actually sign a player, the
lucky for you,
yeah, exactly, and my hat. The fact that there was there was more transfer drama in Peru that turned into not a transfer that we'll discuss, and there we've learned more about the technical staff, and some more things around MLS that we can discuss as well that have happened. There have been plenty of transactions daily in MLS, or at least reports of transactions daily in MLS, just none of them really involving Sporting Kansas City. So maybe let's start on the ownership side of things, because this is probably the most noteworthy news about the club over the last couple weeks, is the revelation that Peter Maluk will be taking over as the majority owner of the club. It sounds like, when that officially changes hands is still yet to be announced. Probably sometime this summer when it officially occur. But the reporting is that he will be acquiring a 70% stake in the club, to take his total stake to the 80% range at a valuation of $700 million. I know, this is fairly close to in line with what Forbes had suggested the club was worth recently, $650 million, something like that. And all of those are just estimates based on enterprise value and revenue. And sports franchises are weird. 10x revenue, 8x revenue, somewhere in that range is probably about right for what a club is. That's kind of where $700 million is pretty well within that range. So I think that, especially owning all the property that the club owns, I think that that's a fairly reasonable number. I think, as far as the valuation is concerned, it's not some bloated, absurd figure. Now, it's the most amount of money that any MLS team has changed hands for, but part of that is just due to the fact that an MLS team hasn't changed hands in a while. Yeah. I think Mansueto is probably the last person to buy a large stake in an MLS franchise. And otherwise, you've got, San Diego, their expansion fee was $500 million, and that doesn't include a stadium or any of the other things that go along with it. So I think that, the financials of it seem to make sense. When it comes to Maluk specifically, we spent some time talking about him, about a month and a half or so ago, and there were reasons why we were talking about him then. He has been a part of this ownership group since 2022. He is also a minority owner of the Kansas City Royals. Is a Kansas City guy, right? His business is based here. He went to KU. He's from the area. His parents are, I think, Egyptian immigrants, or at least his dad is, and is, very much a man of Kansas City, and I think is the right type of owner to take this team forward. And certainly has some interest in aggressively pushing the team forward, at least by his statements. I can tell you that, from my understanding, is that he has been, in the last several years, fairly overt in sort of pushing the spending envelope a little bit more within the ownership group. That is something that he has been interested in doing. He has put his own money down to kind of help facilitate that. And he does seem to have a little bit more of an aggressive mentality towards, bringing the team forward from a competitiveness standpoint. The other thing I would say is that this has been something that has been brewing for quite some time. This did not, materialize over the last couple months. This has been something that has been discussed and has sort of found its momentum, and then kind of getting to the place where it's going to be finalized and the deal is going to happen where it actually gets reported. So you can be fairly certain that the choice to hire David Lee very much included Peter Maluk's sign off as something that he would be on board with. And you can be certain that any promises made to David Lee regarding investment that he was going to have available to him, both to build out the staff as well as to spend on the roster, were 100% backed by Peter Maluk. So I think it's from a fan's perspective, you kind of wonder, what does this mean to me? I think in the short term, I don't think it means a whole lot different, because all of the stuff they're doing right now was stuff he was pushing for in the first place. Yeah. I do think you're going to see that continue to be an influence over the next 18 months. But in the short term, I don't want to say business as usual. I just want to say the change has been a part. The change that you're seeing right now is a part of the change that has been coming regarding this ownership change.
Well, and I think it's important to note, and we mentioned this last week, that it's still we're still sort of at the infancy of the change, right? We're still not quite even in the middle of that transition, and that the Elligs are still in day-to-day control of the club, and they will be until they aren't, right? And so I think that's an important thing to keep in mind also.
Yeah, I think that it's unrealistic to expect that I think the announcement was that Mike Illig and Cliff Illig would remain on the board of governors, and all of the day-to-day operations would remain basically the same. I think that yes, that's true. I think I'd be surprised to see that continue in perpetuity. Right. I think that there will be a point in time, most likely, when those responsibilities start to change hands, but it's not in the immediate future. And look, those guys, the Illigs have a lot of familiarity with the processes regarding operating at the Board of Governors. Mike is a noted member of the competition committee. There's a lot that has to happen at MLS levels regarding the schedule change and the upcoming CBA negotiations.
Yeah.
That it doesn't make a ton of sense to try to inject yourself in that immediately.
Yep. And
I think that from that perspective you're going to see those types of things. But when it comes to the long-term strategic goals of the club, those are 100% going to be Maluk's. And it's also not like the Illigs are not a part of this. They still will have a 10% stake in the club and are still going to be a part of that ownership group and participating in that conversation as well.
Yeah, I think that it's an exciting thing around the league, and I think that's one of those things that, if you take sort of the macro look at it, it says a lot about the valuations of clubs in the league. And I think as a Sporting Kansas City supporter, it seems good news, right? It seems like it's good news, and that it bodes well for the future of the club. Both in terms of sort of everyday, financial operations, but also in terms of investing in on-field talent, which I think is really that's the primary thing that we all care about, honestly.
Right. Well, he's saying the right things regarding that in interviews about his interest in really trying to take the team back to competitiveness and being willing to invest in order to do that. And I think we're seeing the league migrate in a direction where that type of investment is going to be necessary for success in the league long term. And so to have a new primary owner who, first of all, has the financial strength to do that, and secondarily has the interest in doing that. I think both of those are really big things. And I mean, just candidly, Peter Maluk is, if not probably one of the top 3 richest men in town. Yeah. Right. And I don't include Clark Hunt in that because he's not really a Kansas City resident. Right.
No, he is not.
So I think, Maluk is like, a lot of people have, I think the closest comparison that you can make is to Joe Mansueto with the Fire. Right. Like that is kind of the same. That is a very similar sort of type of guy, coming from a similar sort of profile, and also sort of seeing this as sort of a civic project of his in Kansas City. A very similar mindset towards trying to create success. And that's not to say that since Mansueto has taken over majority ownership of the Fire that they have been a resounding success, but I do believe that even it hasn't been because of a willingness to spend money. It's been more about getting the right personnel in place. And I do think that Sporting is in a good place as far as starting that process. They got a long ways to do to complete it, but they've started that process, I think, effectively, and it's just going to be, take some time to start to see the influence of all of that. So, speaking of our front office working on things, if you were not terminally online, you may have missed the Cesar Inga saga. This was quite the journey for Sporting Kansas City fans, desperately clinging on to the hopes of any new roster signing they possibly might get. We talked about Inga a couple weeks ago, just to sort of highlight the. I ended up taking a look at him a little bit on once things sort of moved towards like seeming like they might actually happen. I actually took a look at him on Y-Scout and did a little scouting on him, and I'm not even going to get into that because it's sort of irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
But we're talking about a player that was noteworthy from the top tier, from the best team in the first division of Peru, Universitario. That said, the best team in the first division of Peru is not of noteworthy quality. Do they play in the Copa Libertadores? Technically, yes, they compete in that tournament. Do they advance into that tournament very far? No, they do not.
Technically, no.
This is a club that does win that league fairly often. But the most expensive external transfer in the history of the club is $1.6 million. Yeah. We're not talking about a club that is traditionally like transferring out and buying and selling players like you often see with Argentinian and Brazilian clubs, or at least the ones of note that you have heard of. And this just became an absolute fucking shit show. Yeah. Is basically what happened. It seemed like, when we discussed this a couple weeks ago, that there was some interest on the Sporting Kansas City side to potentially sign this guy. He's a left back, right? Like, let's just be honest. We're talking about a left back, okay? Sporting, well, I want to make sure that we're setting the table here as far as like how important this is in the grand scheme of things. But because of the fact that this team has been unable or seemingly, I don't know what you want to call it, just has not completed any significant transactions to fill up the roster, any type of player news becomes something of note. And there was interest from the player side. When we discussed it a couple weeks ago, the coach was very fervent in the fact that he did not want this to happen, and was actively trying to subvert it in local media in press conferences by saying that he was not available to be sold. His club was like, excuse me, we want this MLS club's money. Their money spends real good. Shut the fuck up. We're accepting an offer. They accept the offer. And then, like, 3 days go by, and it seems like they can't seem to find the player's agent. He's in Brazil somewhere. It seems... I haven't independently confirmed this, but it seems as if Mike Burns flew down to Peru to try to close this deal. And gets down there, they negotiate the fee, and then I guess the guy's agent isn't even in Peru, he's in Brazil, but they're like communicating via phone and text and whatnot. And then it took like 3 more days to try to negotiate the player salaries, and this is all being litigated in Peru sports media,
right? Like
daily. All of the details of this are being litigated in Peruvian sports radio and sports media, and so it's like a telenovela of all these things. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, they didn't really mean, and supposedly Watford is offering 1.8 million pounds for him, and it's just like all this bullshit is going on, all this posturing about getting them to pay more. And I have heard, just candidly, I have heard in more than one occasion that South American clubs do believe that they can fleece MLS clubs for a lot more money than they can. And to be fair, part of it is because MLS clubs, at a certain point, they're just like, I don't care about another $200,000. Just can we stop doing this bullshit? Whereas when they're competing with another Peruvian first division club, they're like, no, it cannot be $200,463. It has to be $462, right? Like that is the kind of negotiation that's happening. So like there's just constant back and forth going in the Peruvian media. And it's like days go by between is he, will he, won't he, is he not? And finally, they get the fee agreed to. Everyone's on board. It takes another 72 hours. We find, or around there, and we hear, okay, the salary demands, well, they're far apart on salary. Oh, no, they're still negotiating. Okay, they've agreed to salaries, and everything is set to go. And then at the last possible second, the club that Universitario bought him from, this AD Tarma, also a Peruvian club. I don't even think they're a first division club. They bought him for $53,000. That was the transfer fee that Universitario paid a year ago for this player. Sporting is in for, I don't know the exact amount, but it's probably 7 digits. It's probably $1 million. This club sees the final deal and goes, whoa, I'm not getting the amount that I'm supposed to get. and it starts to try to renegotiate and says that they're not getting, and all of this is like just absurd at this point, right? It is absolutely absurd, because if you get a sell-on fee, you just get the sell-on fee. You get whatever percentage it is. Right. It's not a fucking mystery.
It's not negotiable.
Yeah,
the negotiating has already happened. You agreed to a percentage. That was your negotiator. You can't come in.
Well, no, not only that, you agreed to this percentage when you sold the player.
Right. That's ago. What I mean. Like that ship has sailed long since.
You do not get to come in later and go, whoa. I'm not okay with this now. And you certainly don't get to decide how much the other team sells him for. The other team can decide, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to move him on for $50 and give the percentage of $50, right? And so that's the thing. That's the part about this that makes no goddamn sense. It's like how all of a sudden this club, feels like they have a claim to more than they were being given. Who knows? I was talking to Chad Reynolds. He thought that maybe he doesn't know how all these contracts work, that maybe the selling club thinks they have a claim to his ongoing salary in the future. I don't know. But regardless, that was the last, we're going to renegotiate again moment for Mike Burns. And he's like, I'm out. Bye. And it went from, we see the tweet from the, Peruvian Tom Bogert. And then I'm just going to call him that because that's basically what he is.
Yeah.
He's like the Peruvian Tom Bogert. We see the tweet that he says, oh, AD Tarma wants more or is not happy. And I mean, it might have been 30 minutes later. Deal is off.
Yep.
And we haven't heard a single word about it since. And I can be fairly certain that Sporting Kansas City said no longer worth it. Mm-hmm. I'm not playing games with y'all.
Well, I mean, I think you're negotiating with the club and the agent, obviously, but you're setting precedent, right? And you're setting precedent for future deals in the Peruvian league or in other South American leagues with other South American agents, and sometimes it's just not worth it, and you got to walk away. And I think that it seems like a lot of time and effort and energy was wasted on, essentially a developmental left back. But it is what it is. And
I mean, I think he's the starting left back if they sign him. Oh, 100%. He's 23. He's got 4 caps for the Peruvian national team. We're not talking about. I mean, 100%. He's the starting left back if they sign him. But still. We've gone a week now trying to get this signing over the line and being dicked around by this whole process. And I can understand why they just throw their hands up.
Right. I think that, maybe if it was a different profile of player in a different part of the field, maybe it's worth maybe sticking it out for a little bit longer. But,
I think Sporting was already paying more than they wanted to. You could see sort of if you read between the lines of all the tweets by Peruvian Tom Bogert as all this is being fed to him, you could see when they started talking about salary, there was a conversation about, well, the guy wanted this salary, and Sporting was like, well, we're already paying this much of a fee. Like, they didn't really say it that way, but it was like the combined investment. And you and I know his salary budget charge includes his fee.
Yep.
Right? So they can only reasonably, like, you don't want to be spending $800,000 a year on a left back in your salary budget.
It's okay if it's a right back who's Kyrie Shelton. That's fine, but not a left back.
It's absolutely not. And we just got rid of Tim Leibold. We don't need Peruvian Tim Leibold.
No, we do not.
So, like, there really was like like that was happening in real time, and Sporting is making a value assessment, and it's like, okay, well, you wanted to come here and we upped our bid so that we could do that, but that means we can only pay this much salary. Right. And I think what probably happened is they gave him more guaranteed years, right, to get the deal done, which, okay, fine.
Yeah, there are other ways to sweeten that deal.
Right. And that means more agent fee, I think, when there's more guaranteed years on the deal. And, you know, there are ways to sort of work that out. And this is what happens in these negotiations. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear. This is what happens. But you cannot renege at the last second.
No.
It's not acceptable behavior, and this is like the second player now where we've had the club get dicked around by the selling club.
Yep.
And or the situation with the selling club. And it is part of the business, but it does highlight a significant problem, which is we don't have enough people working these fucking deals to be able to have one of these fall through after a week's worth of work while nothing else is being done, because you got David Lee, you got Mike Burns, and you got Jake Peterson looking at film.
Yeah.
Like, how can they possibly fill out this roster?
Yeah, they're supposed to be signing double-digit players, and you have Mike Burns, you know, basically blowing, you know, a week or whatever, you know, down in Peru, where, you know, I mean, obviously he can still do other things during that time, but, you know, he's away from Kansas City, and if he's visiting Peru, that means he can't visit other places where, you know, you're in pursuit of other players. And
let's be clear, like, I'm making an assumption that Mike was in Peru, but
that's all we can do is make assumptions, because we're not getting information from the club. So.
I know how these transactions have gone previously, and Mike has gone in person, and when they said Sporting Kansas City representation was in Lima,
that's what that means.
That means Mike Burns is there.
Right.
Like I said, I haven't personally confirmed that Mike Burns was there, but I know enough about how how Manu Garcia and Shapi Suleimanov got signed. I know enough about how Alan Montes got signed. I feel fairly confident in saying that Mike Burns was there. Was he there for the whole week? I don't know, but that's how he likes to do business. He likes to go see the player in person. He likes to negotiate in person and get the deal done that way. Fine, but we got like 10 more guys to sign.
Yeah.
And when you don't get this over the line, we're back to square one. And you don't have a staff of people feeding you a whole new list of people to go try to sign.
Right.
Who's next on the list at left back?
Yeah. Zoran Basong.
I mean, you're laughing, but
no, I'm laughing. I'm laughing through the pain, Drew.
And I mean, it leads me to a place where I'm just like, you know, like, listeners of this podcast know that I'll be the first person to sort of set the context of a situation and say, you know, here is where we are, and, you know, this is why, and let's wait until we see decisions being made before we attempt to judge them for their. I tend to be a fairly patient person and wait for evidence before making judgment. I'm out of patience, man. It is fucking January 28th. They've signed one player. Two, I guess, Stephen Cleveland. They signed a fourth goalkeeper and Calvin Harris, who we're going to talk about here in a second. What?
Yeah, it's baffling, and you're left to hope that they're just working on a bunch of stuff, and that it's all going to come at once, and they're going to announce that they sign like 6 players. But I don't.
How do you believe that they could actually do that?
Oh, I don't believe it. I said you're left to hope. I don't believe that at all. And
with what we know of what the front office is, how
right.
could that possibly happen?
Well, and I think I mentioned this previously. When Lee was first hired, I did some research, sifting through like Reddit threads and that sort of thing of what the impression of him was from the fan base in New York, and a common refrain was that they didn't sign players until like well into the season or until the last minute. They didn't get players in soon enough, and so they always started out behind their contemporaries, behind the other teams that they were competing with, because I think that there was the implication, the inference was that maybe that was because he had to sort of work through the machinations of the city football group, but maybe that's not the case. Maybe this is just like part of the way that he does business.
Well, I mean, but those situations aren't comparable because of the staffing, right? Like that's the problem. It's like it's going to take longer to make 12 signings or double-digit signings or whatever he said it was going to be when you only have 2 guys.
Yeah, but he knows that going in, right? Like I think that the concern, like, what's the plan here, right? Like.
Right, and there's going to be no communication of it externally.
Right.
So we're just left to sit here and take them at their word for it.
No, I don't think you could do that. I think at this point, I don't think that we can take them at their word for it. I think that we have to see some proof, and right now it looks like I mean, this is definitely a wooden spoon worthy roster. Definitely.
Not just wooden spoon. Like Chad
like
Reynolds put it very clearly. Chad Reynolds put it very clearly on the Discord, and I think he's right. The current roster is perhaps the worst MLS roster ever assembled.
Yeah, it's dire. It's to use one of my favorite words. It's grim, Drew. It's grim. It's grim.
Do I expect this roster exactly as the 18 players on it are currently? Do I expect that to be the roster on February 21st? No, I don't. But that could just because they sign a couple trialists,
right,
and another semi, low noteworthy free agent of some kind. Yeah, I mean,
like. Kansas City area soccer players need to get their boots, in order, because open tryouts at the very beginning of the rebrand. I remember that they hosted open tryouts. And is
that when Chad Ochocinco tried to join the team?
Maybe I don't, but that's kind of where we are. I mean, they don't have players, and the best free agents within the league have all been scooped up, and most other teams have functional rosters at this point, and it's just Sporting Kansas City and a few other teams that are way far behind, and when you're way far behind, that puts you at a obviously a competitive disadvantage, but also puts you at a negotiating disadvantage as well. People are going to realize that you're desperate to get in players, and they're going to demand more for those players. And this club is not signing Raheem Sterling to come in and
that wouldn't make no fucking
put
sense
lipstick
anyway.
on the tee. No, it wouldn't. But they're already locked in to 4 U22s. So there's no.
Well,
there's
they
no
have no U22s on the roster.
They don't have anything, right?
They could sign.
But
they could.
They're locked in because
U22s.
they're locked in because that's what they've told us, right? Like that's what.
Right, but even if they it doesn't matter. They're not signing 4 U22s before the end of March,
and they're not signing another DP before the end of March.
Right, but they could.
Sure.
But it makes no sense. Raheem Sterling makes no sense to any of the things they need to accomplish with this club right now.
No. That was just a name. right? At least San Jose's fans have a name, right?
Yeah.
Their roster is shit, but they got like Timo Werner. Okay, great, and they have a coach who has a track record of proving that he can get the most out of what limited roster that he has, and we don't have that, and so it's a problem. I mean, this is the same. This is a worse club than walked off the field at the end of last season, and that club was and that team was terrible, and this team is worse right now.
Right.
So it is.
Yeah,
it
because
is
they
good.
actually did lose like Eric Tommy, who just we found out right before we recorded the pod, just signed with the LA Galaxy. Like Tommy, for his limitations, was a good soccer player.
Yeah.
And was a productive soccer player
Yeah.
for Sporting Kansas City. And that production is gone now. And they have not replaced it. I mean, I don't even care. I was talking to Sperry. It's like, he's like, we're hearing that, the draft pick looks good in camp and, a free foot showing out in preseason, blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking care. First of all, of course a free foot looks good. It's preseason. That's when he always looks good. Secondly, I don't care about our draft pick looking like he might be a player. There's no one around him.
Yeah.
You can't throw a 19-year-old first-round draft pick out at the 6 next to nobody.
Yeah.
You just can't. You need some adults around him so that he can function in a functional group of players. And there's no way for them to do that with the roster as it is currently constructed. And we're like 3 weeks away from them playing an MLS game.
I think that's a good point, and I think that's why we both expected a lot more movement with MLS veterans, either cashers or free agents, because that's sort of a truism about this league, is that you have to have those players on your roster to really be successful. Players
and there are some still out there. Give me Diego Fagundes at this point.
Sure.
Give me a player like that
Yep.
I know can do a job in the league. They have Cesar Araujo that played defensive midfield for Orlando. There are players out there that could augment this roster and provide some adult veteran capability.
Well, the worry is that you're just going to get locked into those players, whether they make sense from a squad building aspect or not, whether they make sense from a game model aspect or not. The concern is that you're going to get locked into those players just to fill out a roster, and that's just going to kick the problem further down the road, right? It's just a mess. It's a mess.
Well, and I'm sure that the plan, hopefully, I'm not sure. I hope that the plan is, hey, let's figure out, what external signings we can get across the line, and then we'll augment with the Henry Kesslers and the Cesar Araujos and the whoever else is available for some of these other positions, and use those as the fill-ins for the year. And I mean, it's MLS. A lot of MLS clubs do this, right? They'll bring in guys on 1+1s or 2-year deals and sort of augment their roster in certain ways where they need to. It's not uncommon to see that happen. The problem is, it's just like the foundation isn't barely even built.
No.
Right? Like you don't know, and it doesn't help when you're failing to get these other signings over the line. These Rogers Mato in Macedonia, and now Cesar Inga. And so you're not only do you not have that in place, how is it possible to believe that double-digit signings are coming when it's been 3 weeks since that statement was made, and all we've seen is them failing to make signings?
Yeah. Yeah, they're up against it, and I don't get the sense that there's a lot of pressure. Like, they don't give the sense that they feel that pressure or realize the consternation in the fan base at all. I don't know. I don't know how they would communicate that. I feel like, as we've discussed previously, I feel like the team has no. They have no cachet in the city at all, and I think that unless unless Sperry is reporting something, like nobody gives a crap, and they're not going to, because there's nothing to give a crap about, right? So
right, like how do you? I mean, I feel really bad for the people on the business side of the club. It's like, how do you sell interest in this?
Right. There's no.
You have a front office that seems even less interested in sharing with information than the previous regime.
That's saying something.
Which is 100% saying something. And there's no activity.
Yeah.
So, like, the poor sporting social media people are, like, trying to get us excited about preseason, and all we see is Ian James, Jacob Bartlett, and Cello Tashantrit over and over and over again.
I'm like, who are those Academy kids? Yes, they are.
Like, if you watch the Instagram reels, every once in a while Manu's in there. Otherwise, it is quite literally trialists and homegrowns.
Yep.
It's like, I promise you, most of the fans are like, "Who's that guy?" Like, quite literally.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, it doesn't matter because they won't be on the first team roster.
Yep.
I mean, you know what this means, right? Me going on this rant means that they're gonna, all of a sudden, everything's gonna be fixed next week. I hope that's the case. I really do. That we'll all of a sudden see 3 signings come through and things will start to look better. But I'm like, my other main issue is,
you realize you just said 3 signings out of double-digit signings. You said 3. You're keeping the bar pretty low there, dude.
Well, no shit. I'm like trying to be realistic. How could they announce double-digit signings next week? Like, realistically, the only way they could do that is by announcing that they're signing all the trialists they brought with them.
That might be it.
But the other issue goes along with this regarding who's going to play on February 21st is Rafa Wicki doesn't even have his visa yet.
Yeah.
Now, granted, some of this varies by issuing country, right? Like, I understand, like, country to country, it does vary fairly significantly. But if you do a transaction today for 4 international players, the likelihood of them actually being available on February 21st to play in that game, extremely low.
Yeah.
So your options as far as like what we're going to see on the field on February 21st, to use your words, grim.
Grim.
It's pretty grim.
It is. At this point,
better get locked into fucking Zoran Basong at left back, guys. I'm telling you, you were joking. I'm telling you, like that.
I wasn't joking. I really wasn't joking. Yeah.
I mean, he plays there for the Canadian national team. I can't really. I mean, it's not like he's a bad player, but yeah. I mean, it's gonna be Justin Reynolds, who could not get on the field for the Chicago Fire, probably going to start it right back on February 21st for this team.
I mean, that's the good news, is that if you put the pieces on the board, you know, there is a team that you can field.
A quote unquote starting lineup. Yes.
I mean, and you know,
scare quotes are very necessary.
For the most part, they're slotted into the position where you would expect them to eventually wind up. Whether they're not obviously going to be good, but you can at least field the team.
We will not forfeit.
No, exactly.
You may wish we did.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Are you happy, Matt? You finally wore me down.
Well, the good thing is the first game is against San Jose, and their roster is almost as grim, not quite.
As grim. Well, Timo Werner's deal's not even done yet,
right.
So he may not be even available on
right.
the 21st of
the first home game is versus Columbus, and there's a lot of question marks around that team. So
Jason Russell Rowe might be leaving, so they might have a striker either. I mean, there's
now.
You look at
March 7th.
RSL has 0 DPs right now. Like, there's a lot of teams in shit state right now.
Yeah, but RSL at least has like a functional academy feeding system, and
Correct.
But anyway, so March 7th is we host San Diego, so that's. We have less of a chance in that game than against the first two games, and I am already. So
you're telling me there's a chance of a point?
Am I already making excuses for this team? I am absolutely doing that, and so what I want to point out. I hate to say I told you so, but like I said that from the outset that fans should not expect this club to be at all competitive this year. I didn't think it was going to be this grim.
But non-competitive is one thing. Not capable of fielding a viable roster.
Yeah,
that's incompetent. That's not uncompetitive. Those are two different things.
Totally agree. I totally agree.
And I really pushed back at the incompetence phrase. And I honestly don't think this is a competence problem. I do think it is a lack of staff problem that has to be rectified quickly. Like, we can't do this to Matt Demline's point, which is fair. David Lee can't spend 3 months hiring his assistant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then another 3 months hiring a scouting director. And then another 3 months hiring in the next. We can't operate at that speed. It needs to accelerate. There needs to be an acceleration of growth here.
Yeah.
If we're investing, we need to put that investment to work. And yeah, you're going to make some bad hires. It happens. Every fucking business does it. You adjust, you recognize the problem, you move on. You have an owner now who is going to be like, hey, I'd rather buy this guy's contract out than continue to eat shit for another year, right? Like, those are the kinds of things that you're going to have to do over time. You try to do it at the highest rate you possibly can. You try to be as meticulous and detailed as you can. But at some point, you do have to start making moves.
Yeah. Well, I do want to point out something I texted you earlier today, and that's that it could always be worse. Our clubs could have signed João Klaus. That didn't happen.
Also, the LA Galaxy.
So,
I mean, thankfully we were not in need of a striker or anything whatsoever to do with it. There are multiple reasons why the Galaxy were willing to do this.
Sure, it makes sense for them for a lot of reasons.
Going on SEI for another year has a lot to do with it, and Klaus only requiring a DP slot for 1 year. All of those things sort of aligned kind of into their planning strategy. But yeah, can you imagine spending $2.35 million to rent João Klaus for a year? Jesus Christ.
And not only that, but locking yourself out of that DP slot. You have no more DP slots open, so that means that if, I don't know, if somebody huge,
Raheem Sterling,
right, was like calling up the Galaxy like, "Okay, I'm ready. I'm free." Guess what? They're locked into Klaus now. Who would you rather have, Klaus or Raheem Sterling? Come on.
I don't
know.
If
Raheem Sterling is washed, but he can still cook MLS defenses, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
I don't know that he's quite Son Heung-min levels of effective at it. But
probably not.
He's probably close to Timo Werner levels of effective at it.
Probably.
Anyway, I do like it. It was funny to me that they did that. I think they bailed out. St. Louis.
That was my first impression too. It was like, wow, St. Louis got lucky there.
And St. Louis can turn all that into GAM too, because Klaus wasn't a DP for them because his transfer fee had already been amortized off. So they can turn all that into GAM and create a bunch of middle.
Does that mean St. Louis is going to make a shock move for Josh Sargent now?
No. They don't have $18 million for Josh Sargent. I do think that the moving back to the Peter Maluk thing, I do think that when those types of transactions are available, Sporting will be able to play in that world more than they have in the past. I'm not suggesting that it's going to happen all the time.
That's a low bar, Drew.
Well, yeah, no shit.
We almost signed Cristiano Ronaldo. I
fucking knew you were going to do it, man. Every fucking time you bring it up. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're moving on.
We were this close, man. This close.
I'm moving on. I'm going to do this. Okay, so I can't be. I can be non-grumpy about the fact that I don't have to eat this hat.
Yeah.
Because we did sign a player, Calvin Harris. Is he coming to find love in a hopeless place?
Boo.
I mean, seriously, like, it's pretty hopeless around here right now.
That is true. I was booing the pun, not the. Yeah, it is hopeless here.
So
it's not hopeless for him. Shit, he's only got to beat out Shapi Sulemana for a starting.
I mean, and Steven Afrifa, he's been looking good in camp. Yeah. Watch out for that Afrifa. Matt Doyle's Oh
man,
this podcast is off the rails, man.
Matt Doyle. You want to talk about washed? Matt Doyle is off the rails, man. Without extra time anchoring that dude in reality, he is out in space right now. Jesus.
I mean, it sucks because I do think that there is an absolute MLS sicko fan in there that is fairly plugged into what's going on in the league at a high level.
Right, a meta level.
But there's just no deep into understanding unless Tom's been reporting about it or someone else has been reporting about it. And because Sporting has been doing nothing, and even Tom put this in his article this week about, what teams he expects to be active. He says I expect Sporting Kansas City to be active mainly because they have to sign players. Not because he's actually got any reporting to give us about news he's heard. Just the numbers would say that they have to do something.
Yeah, the club is finally starting to get some national recognition, but that's it, right? It's like yes, teams to keep an eye on, Sporting Kansas City, because they don't have a squad right now. Okay,
right.
Well, that's. Yeah.
And of the 18 players on the squad, who would you expect to be a breakout star?
4 of them are goalkeepers.
Matt Doyle's like, let me look at these breakout options on this list of Kwaku Ajibang.
Right. You can see how he got there pretty easily, right? You're like, Shapi Sulemana, that's not it.
I can't say Jake Davis for the third time.
Right.
So
yeah.
Afrifa, yeah, I liked him that one time. I saw him at the college showcase 3 years ago. Really gets in behind defenses. You know that guy?
Does he? I don't know that guy.
According to Matt Doyle, he does.
Okay, let's go. I'm excited for that guy. If that's a guy that we have on our team, I'm excited.
I mean, Calvin Harris is a guy who gets in behind defenses.
I know. I'm pretty psyched about that.
That is a guy who has a lot of vertical speed. I think he's been like the fastest player in the league at some levels when they've measured him. Like, okay, he's really, really fast. But I just remember watching. I mean, don't get me wrong. When we played Colorado, it's not like we actually beat Colorado. Thanks, Chris Armas. A couple times. He was a player that I found was pretty dangerous. Like, I remember him being dangerous and causing a lot of problems getting behind Sporting's back line, which is something a lot of players did. Let's be candid. But I just remember him looking like a dangerous player vertically, and that is something this team desperately needs. Like, desperately needs. I don't know that he's going to be playing 2,000 minutes, but well, maybe.
Who else
knows? I mean, at the current state of the roster,
he's going to play all the minutes.
He might play all the minutes. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's a player there that can provide value. You would hope that there are more players coming on those attacking positions that he would be battling for minutes, but I think in the short term, there are going to be lots of opportunities for him to play.
Yeah. All the youngsters are going to get plenty of minutes, given the state of things.
Right. I mean, we might see a lot of Ian James at the beginning of this season too. Which
there's nobody else. So yeah.
I guess if we're going to look for the silver lining, it is that some of these young players will get to develop very quickly, or not. I mean, we'll get to see if they're going to develop or not.
Yep.
You have any other thoughts on Calvin Harris? I mean, if they had signed literally anyone else, I don't think we would be discussing this that much, right? Like this would just be a guy.
Like he's like a below replacement level player, right?
I don't know about below replacement. I think he's above replacement level.
You do? Okay, well then that's good. Like I mean, I see him as just well,
I mean, replacement level typically means you could get similar output from someone at the senior minimum.
Right.
That's typically what replacement level means.
Yeah.
He's not a senior minimum. He's not a senior minimum guy.
You think he's above that?
Well, I mean, I'm fairly sure the Sporting's paying him $200,000 to $300,000, which is 3x the senior minimum, and I think that his value as a player is above that for sure.
Okay, I hope so.
Steven Afrifa is a senior minimum guy.
Yeah,
I think that Calvin Harris is a better player than Steven Afrifa. Yes.
Okay. Good. I hope that that's the case. I know that he has an alluring skill set for sure, but it's hard for me to know whether that's just my own, my own sort of bias towards skill sets that haven't been prevalent on this team in the last few years.
Yeah. Well, and the other problem with Harris is he's more of a guy who gets behind and it gets into dangerous areas, but then has the team of earners when he gets there.
Right.
And Afrifa is the opposite of that. Afrifa actually is a fairly decent finisher.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm backtracking a little bit. We'll have to see. He may be a replacement level player. I guess we'll find out.
I think maybe a better way to think of it is a depth piece, right? Like he's not a starting caliber player on a good playoff team, and so at least not at this point. And so it's hard to get too worked up about that. But he is what we have at the moment. So, and he is he's a Drew Vanderplug All-Star because he's preventing you from eating your hat. So shout out to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be high on my...
He'll always be Mr. Relevant because of that.
Exactly. 100%. Additionally, there was a coaching staff was announced. So we actually have a complete staff of coaches, at least. We don't have a complete roster of players, but we do have a complete staff of coaches. I don't know if they've ever replaced Joey Hardy on the performance side. I don't know if they elevated someone to that role. There were a lot of people working for Joey, so I'm not necessarily sure that that's a huge area of need on the sports performance side. But there is a complete coaching staff. And, one old friend alert, Dom Kinnear.
Like something old, something new, something borrowed. It's just like it's a real sort of like catch bag of coaching talent there.
It is a little bit that where you've got Dom Kinnear was an interesting one, but Dom has been an assistant for since his last head coaching stint, which was in San Jose. He's been the Galaxy assistant, and then most recently under Pat Noonan at FC Cincinnati.
Yeah,
I actually think this is a good pickup.
I do too.
I really do.
I think it's a smart way to approach things. Absolutely.
Kinnear is a noted players coach.
Yep.
Players get along. He has that connection with them. So you sort of filled the Zavagnin role in that regard, right? As far as the connection with the players, and he just knows the league so well, and he knows how players come through the league, what good players coming through the league look like. I just feel like as far as a backroom staff guy, he's just an ideal guy to have there. Edu Rubio as the other assistant, I thought was noteworthy, right? This is a guy that coached under Lopetegui at both Wolves and West Ham. He was the assistant manager for Lopetegui in both of those roles. So you're getting a little bit more European influence as well, Premier League influence as an assistant on the staff. So I think that both of those were sort of noteworthy and interesting. Darren McLeod becoming the goalkeeper coach. I mean, I'm glad they promoted from within. So McLeod has been an academy goalkeeper coach and then the twos goalkeeper coach up until last year. Promoting from within, okay, I like that. It doesn't seem like a very inspiring choice, but
it's goalkeeper coach, man. Who knows? Like,
yeah,
I mean, who knows?
Goalkeeper coaches, the goalkeeper room, and goalkeeper coaches, and all that whole group they're weirdos, man.
Yeah.
If you know, you've met Chad Reynolds, right? You've met Mike Kuhn. These guys,
yeah, they're wired differently.
They're wired. They definitely are. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, goalkeeper coach. I'll let those guys tell me whether or not this is a good deal or not.
The craziest goalkeepers are the goalkeepers that keep showing up to play like indoor, like rec league into their 30s and 40s. Those dudes are fucking nuts, dude. They are nuts, and they are worth the price of admission. They're the most enjoyable part when I go watch my kids play indoor rec league. Like the goalkeepers, they're what keep me going back, dude. They're nonstop entertainment.
It takes a certain mindset for sure.
It does
to play that position.
It does, especially when you start to get older and people are, you're playing young kids and they're just zipping balls at you in the indoor and like, I don't know, man. It's different kind of people for sure.
Different breed.
Not me.
Definitely. Yeah,
not me.
Not me. I had to play like when I did JV high school soccer, like my first year when I was a freshman. I was the backup goalkeeper on that team because because playing center back was the only other person that like knew like goalkeeper commands and things like that. So we just didn't have another goalkeeper, and I had to do it for like one half of a game, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm never doing this again."
I would keep goal against my kids when they were little, but once they both got into high school, fuck that, dude. Both of them hit the ball way too hard, and I was just not.
Exactly.
Just not. And they were accurate too, so they would like tattoo me on purpose. And no, dude, I'll just get out of goal. You shoot. It's fine.
We'll put some targets in the goal. It's right. Fine. I don't need to stand here for this. What else? Other news. Zoran Savic, former assistant coach of the club, now suing ownership of the club for youth soccer business reasons. There's a really good article that Mike Kuhn did on this on the KC Soccer Journal. I would suggest you go read that if you really want the background.
I haven't read that yet.
Yeah, Mike kind of went through all the details of it. There was the Kansas City Business Journal was the first to come out with this article, but it's paywalled and not a whole lot of people got to see it. Mike Kuhn did an article on KCSJ for it. So I would suggest if you want to see the details of what the lawsuit is about and what Z is alleging, you go check that out. I mean, the Cliff's Notes version of this are Z and Peter Vermees, let's be completely honest. Z and Peter Vermees both were fairly active in the youth soccer, quote-unquote, business in sport in Kansas City over the last decade plus, over the last 15 years. Ever since the rebrand and the installation of the academy and the affiliate clubs and whatnot.
That's the big thing there, the affiliate, yeah.
Yeah, the affiliate clubs, because like I think Sporting Blue Valley is a Peter Vermees-owned entity, and Z has had a thing in Lee Summit, and then it evolved into something else that he did in partnership with the club, and it became an affiliated club. And then as they expanded in North Kansas City, there's all these accusations of them trying to snipe his staff for their stuff in North Kansas City, while they were also trying to open their own entity on the east side of the city that would compete with the one that was supposed to be his affiliate. And there's a lot of, he said, or them manipulating us and using monopolistic practices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a bunch of really dirty shit around people trying to make money on youth soccer.
It is, and it is not surprising to anybody who's had to deal with that world at all.
Right.
It is like...
Youth soccer is unfortunately big business. And
It is.
Sporting Kansas City is invested in it and trying to make money off of it just as much as Zoran Savic and Peter Vermees and a variety of other people have been, both in their affiliation with the club as well as doing things on their own. And Vlatko has been a big part of this. Hugh Williams, who was the coach, the current, was a big part of that org. Like, all of these guys come from that. And I'm just not going to even try to untangle all of that on this podcast. There's a discussion about it. We actually have a youth soccer discussion channel now in the Discord specifically for this kind of stuff. And like I said, Mike goes into the details of the allegations that Zoran has laid towards Sporting Kansas City's ownership. And we're just going to let that kind of work out. But the long and short of it is he's asking for $3.3 million in a lawsuit for monetary damages. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. The good news is, even with only 18 rostered players, Sporting Kansas City was actually able to beat FIU a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Get them.
In a close. Well, hey, look, they lost last year to FIU.
I know.
In preseason. So let's call this progress. To beat them this time. And then the following week, this past Saturday, lost the closed door scrimmage to the Chicago Fire. So they won 1-0 in the first game 2 weeks ago, and then lost to the Fire. These are closed door scrimmages. It's preseason. I really could not care less about the result of these games.
No, and I think that's and it's something we talked about also. You know, I think that the time, you know, when I was a new fan, I got really into this phase of preseason. But as Chad Reynolds was alluding to last week, it's just kind of pointless. There's not much going on. It's
especially the first phase. The first phase is so much.
It's a lot of trial lists. It's a lot of chop and change rosters. It's, you know, people getting back into fitness. It is virtually impossible to read anything into it at all. So peruse at your own detriment, really.
Well, and you don't know anything about what happened anyway.
No,
like other than what the PR Twitter account puts on Twitter.
Yep.
Which was the lineup, the score,
right,
and when Chicago scored.
Right.
That was it.
Yep.
So it's like trying to parse anything from that is just, I mean, it's a fool's errand. So what's left on the news today? Oh, the U.S. women's national team. They played some games, sort of. I mean, they played. Their opponents struggled to play at their level. Almost half of the current starting lineup was in the first game against Paraguay, and Trinity Rodman was out there doing her thing after signing a fairly noteworthy contract with NWSL.
It's pretty lucrative.
We've gone from no, you cannot pay her that amount of money to we'll actually pay you twice that amount of money.
Yeah,
fairly quickly. Like the league denied the Spirit signing her to a contract for much less money than they just signed her to.
Well, when I think that,
but we're being stewards. We're being stewards of capital, Cody. We want to be stewards of capital here.
If I ever say that about myself, that I'm a steward of capital, just somebody please shoot me. Like, no, I'm done at that point. You don't want to be a steward of capital. That sounds like
Jessica Berman does.
Yeah, that is sounds like a completely, whatever she's describing is without any soul or wit. It is gross. So yuck.
Well, she's trying to be big business lady, but someone didn't explain to big business lady that that salary is an operational expense, not capital. So she doesn't even know what the fuck she's talking about.
No, she doesn't.
But regardless, let's let big business lady in her Tom Brown jacket say whatever the fuck she wants, or Tom Ford or whatever the fuck that thing is that she's worn in like 3 straight interviews. The U.S. women's national team had a good time. They scored many goals. Ali Sentnor, in the second half of that game against Paraguay, moves to center forward and starts to look like Ali Sentnor again. And perhaps just like a, hey, Chris Armas, please. Chris Armas. I know I've been pretty mean to you so far. Could you please watch this and understand? Ali Sentnor is not a fucking midfielder.
Yeah.
Thanks. She's a scorer. She's a goal scorer. That's what she's best at.
Well, maybe he knows that. That's why they don't have any other center forwards on the roster. You know, they're planning on doing that. You never know. Some people just sometimes fall into, competence.
That's true. Like, I'm sure Vlatko sort of saw it. Like, look, it's not. There's
he maybe give a little bit of push here and there.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Bia, back to Brazil. Enjoy yourself. Ciao.
He's pulling strings, setting Armas up to look like a genius.
Setting the lineup up, setting the roster up in a way that it can only be put out in one setup. That may be the way to make Chris Armas a good coach. Just give him no options.
Yeah, that works for players. That's why Jake Davis looked like a competent pro when you put him out at right back a couple years ago. You just eliminate options. Just make it simple. You just do this, you'll be all right.
Right. And he's gotten better since then about being able to decipher more options.
Absolutely.
But
he's grown into being able to play the midfield role for sure.
Yeah,
but
but it was a good way to get him up to the speed of the MLS game while limiting what his responsibilities were. And limiting Chris Armas' responsibilities would be a good idea.
These are going to be the most talented players Armas has ever had. To work with, including those he coached at Manchester
United. I'd rather have Claire Hutton than Casemiro.
Oh shit, yeah.
I think that it was good to see these players that are basically in preseason camp as well, looking pretty clean. Like, this January camp is like the old MLS camp cupcake, right? Like, that's basically what this is. It's all NWSL players. They can't, European clubs are in the middle of their season. So all we're seeing is a bunch of NWSL players that are in preseason. And none of the ones from Gotham, because they were at the FIFA Women's Champions Cup that they just crashed out of this morning. So, it was cool to see. And I think Mike McGrew said this on socials today. I tend to be a Vlatko apologist in a lot of circumstances. I think he was a poor fit with the women's national team. I think he made some poor choices when he was the coach of the women's national team. So I don't think we need to retcon the fact that he did that and that exists. But I think he's a much better coach than he showed in that environment, for sure. And I think we saw that when he came back to Kansas City. But Emma has done a much better job, much akin to what Pochettino has done in expanding the depth of that team and putting them in a place, coming up to the next couple years where they are going to be able to put together, I think, an absurdly competitive team.
Yeah.
No matter who's healthy.
Yep.
And I think that was probably the biggest issue that Vlatko had in New Zealand, was just having such a very similar to Berhalter, just having such a very short list of players that he felt comfortable with. And they did kind of the weird things with Julie Ertz and all the other kind of choices that he made to just try and sort of play exactly the way that he wanted. And had they sort of brought this level of depth with them, there would have been, I think, in a much better place. And Emma's doing a great job of that.
It was really sort of a transitional time, transitioning out of one generation and into a new generation. And I don't think he handled that well, and it might not have been all up to him too, right? And so there are other factors.
It was difficult. It was difficult for sure. Like you had a lot of like of the generation that had put the majority of those stars on the shirt.
Right.
or at least the last two of them. And how do you tell them that they're not it anymore, right? It's a difficult thing to do, and you try to squeeze too much from the same grape, and it just at a certain point, they anyway. We don't need to relitigate all that.
Yep.
What I think Emma's doing, it has given Emma the wherewithal to be very active in bringing along youth players. And man, I think this women's team has some like just the U.S. women under 23s would do damage against almost any team in the world.
Yeah.
And Emma's got a lot to do with getting them ready for that level and helping push them to put themselves at that level. I'll be interested to see how long Claire Hutton is in Kansas City. I mean, she was wearing the armband for both of these games.
It's because she's awesome.
I mean, we're obviously huge fans of hers on this podcast. That's nothing new. But but you see Lily Johannes is already at Lyon, right? Like you're going to start. I'm sure that there's going to be some birds in the ear of Claire at some point going, hey, when are we, Sam Coffey just went to Man City.
Yeah.
And if NWSL is not going to do something about making sure all this competition is in their league, then I do want to see Claire Hutton and players like that going to places where they are challenged more.
Sure, absolutely. But it would be better if NWSL would just pay them.
And bring and compete for those players.
Yeah, they should be the best team in the
I want to see Kansas City Current go buy Alessia Russo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Maria Caldente come to Kansas City, right? I want to see that shit happening. When is that going to start happening? And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I just don't think the league is interested in making those types of investments.
Yeah. Don't seem to be.
So, in the short term, we're just going to have to kind of, watch and learn and see how that continues to evolve. So, where does that leave us, bud? I don't know. We got no players waiting.
We're the El Chapo meme. I'm just kind of waiting.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. that has been the meme on the Discord is the El Chapo meme.
Yep.
I don't know. You guys have heard enough already. Kind of where my level of frustration lies. I'm right there with you. I've been trying to hold off from getting too out over my skis about it because realistically, what difference does it make? But we want to enjoy this club just as much as y'all do. And it's difficult to find much of that right now.
This is true.
And you want to have some level of hope going into the season that it is going to be something you'll be able to enjoy in some way. And it's hard to find that.
Absolutely.
It really is. And until they start making some of those moves and start bringing on some of those players of excitement, with the one caveat I'm going to say with all this, we've already signed the 2 DPs that we're going to have.
Yep.
The only players that this team can sign of consequence are U22s and like mid-TAM players.
Yep.
So I don't think anybody that they bring in is going to be some like, oh my God, look at how good this guy is, right? That's not where this club is shopping. But where they are trying to do is create a basis for growth, and we want to see that. And I'm hopeful that we will start to see that over the next few days and weeks, because otherwise, to put it to use Cody's words, things are gonna be pretty grim.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all next week.
Bye-bye.